The Architect Crest is one of the strongest in all of Hollow Knight's Silksong, as it gives Hornet the unique ability to replenish her offensive tools while out in the field. To unlock it, we will need to purchase the Architect's key from the Architect, and we can only do that after we've collected a total of 25 or more tools. So in this guide, we will be covering how to get more than 30 different tools and 6 Craftmetal, as having a few backup options is always nice. As usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. Before we get started, I do recommend unlocking all Act 1 and 2 traversal abilities to make this guide easier to follow, and I'll leave links to guides for just that near the bottom of this video's description. Let's start with some of the easier tools. The first is the Compass, and we purchase it from Chakra. This NPC can be found in various locations throughout the world, but is most likely going to be found at his resting spot in Bellheart if you are in late Act 1 or Act 2. Our second tool can be purchased from Peb in Bone Bottom. It's the Magnetite Brooch, and Peb also sells the first of several Craftmetal that we will cover in this video, which can be used to craft certain tools. For the third tool, the Shard Pendant, we will start at the Marrow Bellway station and move east. We can drop down a short distance in the next chamber and move into the second chamber down to the west. We should find the Shard Pendant waiting for us. We can get our second Craftmetal nearby. From here, we'll move back up to the top chamber, then go further east. After passing through a long horizontal chamber, we can drop down and smack an explosive core to the west. There is then a chain of explosions to trigger that will reveal the Craftmetal, which can be freed through a few whacks. To get our fourth tool, we will move out of here and then go further east. You may have a sign like in my game pointing the way if you're in Act 2. If you're in Act 1, this might still be a prison for you. In either case, we can move up into the east corner of the prison and smack the locked door to break it if necessary. Up in the cell is the Straight Pin tool. This is the closest spot to the next two tools that can be obtained, the Curveclaw and the Fractured Mask. We can rest at the nearby bench if needed, then move back out of the prison and go to the chamber above it. This is the entrance to Hunter's March, and we will need to defeat the boss guarding it if we have not already. We will then need to move up and east through several chambers. The platforming in this section is very challenging if tackled early in Act 1, but is a lot more manageable once more traversal abilities have been unlocked. About halfway through, we will enter another arena where multiple waves of enemies must be defeated before we can head further east. Once we reach the tall vertical chamber, we can either platform up or just ride up the airstream if we have the Drifter's Cloak. At the top of this stream, we will enter the chamber to the west, then go through a secret passage lined with spikes and other traps to find Mottled Scar. Scar will sell us the Curveclaw and Fractured Mask tools if he is still alive, but in my game I bought the Curveclaw in Act 1, and when I returned in Act 2, Scar was dead. He did drop the Fractured Mask however, so I got that for free, which is nice. We can save and quit to quickly get back out of this area, then move to our next starting point, the Deep Docks Bellway Station. From there, we'll move a couple of chambers to the east, then follow the bench sign down. If we haven't already, we will need to descend on the lift, then clear an arena of multiple waves of enemies. Doing so will allow us to reach the Forge Daughter. She sells 2 tools, the Sting Shard, which I think is worth the Craftmetal to make it, and the Magma Bell, which I don't think is worth using a Craftmetal on. So that is 7 tools if we opt not to get the Magma Bell. The next few tools and a Craftmetal will all be near the Far Fields Bellway Station. To start, we can move out west and drop down to the bottom of the tall vertical chamber, entering into a metal tube. There is a hole in the tube that we can jump up into to reach the Warding Bell tool, and that makes 8. For our third Craftmetal, we will move west through a breakable wall. Watch out for the enemies in this area as we move further down and west. Just beyond a flint flame flyer and beneath a metal strut, we can destroy some wooden support beams to open up a nearby chamber. After dealing with another flint flame flyer, we can open the chest there and pick up the Craftmetal. We will then return to the Bellway Station to go get the Weighted Belt tool. Moving out west, we can ride up the airstreams, then follow the bench sign east. The Pilgrim's Rest will normally close back up after we leave it, however, if we break the gear that closes the door, it will stay open permanently. In any case, we can speak with Mort to buy the weighted belt. We're going back to the Farfields Bellway Station one last time. We will need the Needle-in ability to get this next tool, the Silkspeed Anklets. There's actually a shortcut path to the east of the Bell Beast which we can carefully navigate. It will bring us to the hut of the seamstress. From there, we will need to move down into the east chamber. We will then keep moving east along the bottom path of 2 chambers from there, striking explosive cores where needed in order to proceed. We should eventually arrive at a Weaver door, which we can open with our needle in. This will bring us to the Weavenest Syndrome. In order to unlock the Silkspeed Anklets, all we need to do is sprint along the floor panels to the east of the bench here. We need to sprint along all of them without stopping, and this should cause a structure to rise up near the end, which contains the Silkspeed Anklets. This next part will cover how to get multiple tools in an efficient manner, including the Longpin, Pollip Pouch, Multibinder, Thief's Mark, Snitch Pick, and Magnetite Dice. We can start at Bellheart and grab the My Missing Courier Wish from the quest board before moving west into Shellwood. We'll move to the west side of the first chamber, jump up a few platforms, then move over to the east side of the chamber to find the Longpin tool in an isolated chamber. From there, assuming we've already unlocked the cling grips, we can move up and to the west to reach the bench that is near the sister splinter boss. We'll start and complete the Rite of the Pollip quest from here to get the Pollip pouch tool. From the bench, we will move down and to the west to reach the quest giver. If the lift here is in the way, you can start riding it down, then save and quit the game. Returning from the bench, the lift should then be at the bottom of the chamber, allowing us to drop down and to the west. Doing so will bring us to the Hut of Greyroot, and speaking with this NPC multiple times will allow us to start the Rite of the Pollip side quest. With that, we will begin rounding up all 6 Pollip parts. The first is in the chamber out to the east. Dropping down a couple of floors, we will move east, then wall climb our way up to where the first Pollip heart is waiting. Smacking the giant purple flower a few times will free it for us to then pick up. For the second Pollip heart, we can drop directly down and stand on a pressure plate to open a shortcut back to the first chamber. We will need to move up and towards the east. Once again, this Pollip heart is found in the northeast corner of the chamber and requires cling grip to reach. The next Pollip heart is closest to the bench we last rested at, so let's either head there or just quit to menu, then load back in to quickly return there. From the bench, we can ride up the lift that served as a shortcut for the run back to the Sister Splinter boss fight. Moving down the east chamber, we will jump up and go into a section of the Bellways, attacking and clearing any debris in our way if we haven't already. Watch out for the spike pit as we drop down past a winged firm and move east, then down another narrow tube. We will then move west, dropping down above a second winged firm and allowing it to fly above our save point. We can then drop one more level down while watching for a third firm. Again, you may need to clear some debris here, then drop down to the west. We'll jump over the hole in the ground and keep moving west, clearing any debris in the way until getting back to the Shellwood biome. We will then move west along the bottom set of platforms in this area, eventually clearing away several vines to reveal our third Pollip heart. We can open a shortcut up back to the bench that we last rested at if we haven't already. From there, we'll ride the same lift back up and go down the eastern path. This time, however, instead of going east after jumping up some platforms, we will move west across a spiked pit. In the next chamber, we can jump up to the nearby wall and climb up to the chamber above it. We'll then need to move up and west past 2 splinter barks. These enemies are really annoying normally, but the cogflies I have are really effective against them. Once we are up and past the splinter barks, we can break through the vines to the west and go through the chamber that follows. After dealing with several more enemies and the hive that spawns them, we can drop down and then dash east over a pit to reach our 4th Pollip heart. The 5th Pollip heart is very close to this one. For it, we will drop down and move west into the next chamber. To the west of the altar that granted us cling grip, we can carefully drop down and to the west where necessary to snag the next Pollip heart. The final Pollip heart is also very close by. Dropping all the way down, we can then move up and east into the next chamber. Bouncing up a series of white flowers and using our wall cling ability, we can nestle up near the last purple flower and whack it a few times to free the Pollip heart. Our bench we've been visiting a lot is just a short distance down and to the east from here. From there, we can take the same path as before to get back to Graveroot. Turning in all 6 Pollip parts will complete the Rite of the Pollip Wish or side quest. We can then do a combination of speaking with Graveroot and waiting in order to actually get the Pollip Pouch tool. We can start back at our previous bench, then move down and west, going to the bottom of the large open chamber. We'll then need to go all the way west through Shellwood until reaching a bench that must be paid for. We don't need this bench, but we can move out and east from it, then up through the vertical chamber above us. Making full use of our traversal abilities will make getting up through here a lot easier. At the top, we should quickly go east to open the shortcut to the Shellwood Bellway station. We can then move west from there until reaching a large stony cavern with a gap at the center. Dropping down along the west wall, we should eventually find our lost Courier, being accosted by 2 Caronids. After defeating them, we can speak with Tip to complete the My Missing Courier wish. This will update the shop at Bellheart with several new items, and the Multibinder is an expensive tool, but it's also one of the best tools in the game, at least in my opinion. The fast travel point that is closest to our next 3 tools is the Blasted Steps Bellway station. If we don't already have it unlocked, we can reach it by first going to the Shellwood Bellway station. We can then move west to reach the entrance of Blasted Steps. Just after running beneath a few falling rocks, we can wall climb our way up a tube and then move east. This will bring us to another bench that may not be necessary, but I bought it just in case. From here, we'll need to traverse up and to the west before eventually switching direction to the east to reach the next chamber. The double jump and claw line abilities both make this task a lot easier, and you can probably skip sections, but I'm completing this as if I don't have those available just to show that it can be done. Watch out for the Raging Storm, which will blow you towards the east if you are using the hover ability. Also, don't fall into the sands, as doing so will result in 2 points of damage. The next chamber is very quick to get through, as we just need to move east and jump over a gap. This will bring us to the chamber where Chakra is found, and we can purchase the map for the Blasted Steps from him. After that, we'll need to move up and to the west once again. Once we've made it to the western chamber, we are nearly there. Up to the west is a lever that we can hit to open a shortcut. We'll then need to move up to the top of this chamber and then go west once more to reach the Bellway station for Blasted Steps. I recommend unlocking the Bellway station first so that you are able to return here more easily. In any case, this is where double jump comes into play. From the Bellway station, we will move west into the next chamber. We can then platform our way up into the west, going into the chamber with the musical sign outside it. In order to reach the shop NPC here, Grindle, we will need to double jump up into the tube, then wall climb the rest of the way up. Grindle sells 2 tools. The first is the Thief's Mark, which I think is worth the rosaries. Then there is the Snitch Pick, which I didn't think was worth it, unless you have thousands of rosaries just burning a hole in your pocket. Moving out to the east, we can drop down a short distance and then move into the chamber on the west. At the end of this long horizontal chamber, we will find Lumble the Lucky, at least during Act 1. It seems that at some point after starting Act 2, Lumble perishes, leaving behind his Magnetite Dice tool for us to scavenge. If we opted not to get the Snitch Pick, we should be at a total of 15 tools now. For our 4th Craftmetal, we can return to the Blasted Steps Bellway station and move up to the east. Just after reaching a checkpoint of sorts, we should be able to float down into a tube to the east beneath 2 hanging bells. We can then carefully move down into the west until reaching this Craftmetal node. To do all of this next part, we will have had to ring the bell at the first shrine in Coral Chambers, leading to the establishment of Songclave. We will be completing 2 tasks in tandem, which will allow us to get several tools, including the Cogfly, Ascendant's Grip, and Spool Extender. Before we go to get the Cogfly, we can start the Wandering Merchant Wish at Songclave, which can be completed along the way to where the Cogfly is obtained. We will begin at the Grand Bellway Fast Travel Station and move west and up towards the chamber indicated on the map. There is a bench there that we can rest at as a checkpoint. Our first mini destination is the entrance that's second up and to the west from the Grand Bellway. This will bring us to a series of long horizontal chambers that we need to run through. At the end of those, we will jump up and out to the west of the tower, then move up and go into the top east chamber, the one with the bench sign. Moving out from here, we can then enter the second chamber down to the west. An NPC by the name of Jubilana will be hiding from 2 enemies, and will emerge after they are defeated. Speaking with Jubilana will complete the Wandering Merchant Wish. We can then move back out east and go up 1 level to enter a new chamber to the west. We will then need to ascend up this tall vertical chamber. Unless you've already unlocked it from the other side, we will need to go through a longer side path to reach our destination. The entrance to this side path is up and to the west. From there, we'll move further west through 1 chamber, then up a tall vertical chamber with clockwork platforms. At the top, we will move east and up into a dilapidated corridor. We can then drop down and move out east to get back into the tall vertical chamber we were in a minute ago. We can go down to open a shortcut, but doing so is a bit dangerous, and I just wanted to go up and to the west to reach the next checkpoint, a bench near our destination. This bench is right outside of the high halls, and as you can see, we need the clawline ability to navigate it. From the bench, we will move up and to the east, utilizing our clawline to ascend into this new area. Once we pass through the first chamber, we will need to make our way further up and east, passing by a maestro along the way. In the next chamber, we will need to ride up the spinning wheel with our clawline. A minister will try to get in our way as we move up and out the top east exit. We will need to then get by another maestro and minister as we platform our way through the next chamber. At the next spinning wheel, we actually want to float down, carefully navigating the spiked route and using our claw line to pull a lever and open the way further down. We will then need to repeat a slightly harder variation of this process to open the next chamber, then drop down and enter the chamber to the west. Jumping over a small pit, we can interact with the workbench and use our Craftmetal to construct the Cogfly Tool. To leave this area, we should carefully float down through the spiked corridors. Dropping down at the bottom, we will reach a bench as well as both the map and Ventrica stations for high halls. If we return to Songclave, we will find Jubilana there, who will sell us the Ascendant's grip and Spool extender. I didn't have enough rosaries for these at the time, so I did not buy them or count them towards my 25 total. That puts us at 16 total tools for now. If you followed my clawline guide, then you will have gotten this next tool, the Injector Band. It is obtained within White Ward on our way to the Underworks region. Just after passing by 2 morticians, we can jump up into an elevated area and move west along it to reach this 17th tool. This is where the fun begins in Greymoor, and by fun I mean pain. However, we will be able to get a Craftmetal nearby, as well as a few useful tools, including the Tacks, Barbed Bracelet, and Silkshot. We will start at the halfway home bench in Greymoor, then move out to the west. After moving through several open areas, we will enter a tower-like structure. We need to make our way towards the upper east exit for it, which will require cling grip to reach easily. We will then want to just move east along the same level until reaching a lift. We can unlock this lift to serve as a shortcut back to the halfway home. Feel free to go rest if needed, then ride the lift back up. We will then jump over the lift and continue moving up into the east, eventually reaching an entrance to a new region, Sinner's Road. A quest that we are going to start here will require us to defeat these muck roaches, so for now, let's just run past them into the next chamber. Once there, we can follow the bench sign up, then move out to the east. The Cogflies make this next chamber, which I consider to be one of the worst chambers in the game, a bit more bearable. Even with all traversal abilities, it will take some effort to platform our way up and over to the top east corner of it. There, we can enter a hut and speak with both Krull and Benjen several times to start the Roach Guts wish. Before getting to work on that, let's go west along the top portion of this chamber and hit a lever to open the top west exit out. We can then carefully drop down into the west to reach the chamber with the bench. We can buy the Sinner's Road map off of Chakra here, and if we haven't already done so, we will then need to navigate a short platforming section in order to fully unlock the bench in this room. After hitting a lever to unlock the shortcut back up here, we may as well move down and to the east, defeating a few muck roaches on our way to get the Barbed Bracelet. After grabbing the bracelet, we can save and quit to the main menu, then load back in to quickly and safely return to the bench. The best place to farm muck roaches is down from the bench, then west beneath the prisoner, in the long horizontal chamber. After defeating the 3 muck roaches, we can quit to menu, then rinse and repeat until we have all 10 roach guts. We will then need to get back to Krull and Benjen. We will be rewarded for our efforts getting the Tacks tool when we speak to them after completing the Roach Guts wish. This is one of the better offensive tools in the game, especially against larger enemies. With that done, we can return to our last bench, then move out to the east and up to the next chamber. Once we get up into the next section of Sinner's Road, we will need to move east, avoiding the muck roaches, roach keepers, and fetid water along the way. We can hit the lever at the end of this path to move into the next chamber, then carefully drop all the way to the bottom east exit. All we need to do is reach the end of this chamber and defeat 2 muck roaches. Doing so will unlock a nearby bench to serve as a checkpoint and also an NPC by the name of Styx. If we either die or load back into the game at this bench, we should get a free Silk Eater from Styx. In any case, we will move back out of this area and make our way up the tall vertical chamber that follows. We need to get to the dead bug along the east wall with an item pickup. There is a breakable wall there that leads into the next region that we need to tackle, Bile Water. We will need to avoid several swamp squits and mire mites as we platform our way towards the top east exit out of this first chamber. In the next chamber, we will need to swim east through a hidden channel of fetid water to reach a weave door, which we can open by playing our needle in. This opens the path into Weavenest Merglin, where the ruined tool can be found. This precursor can be used to craft one of 3 variant tools, and we will be crafting the railgun variant soon enough. In this picture of the map, my character is up where the map for the region is obtained. The ruined tool is obtained at the location indicated by the silver ring icon. In any case, you can either turn on the power of the nest to leave and explore Bile Water more thoroughly, or just save and quit to menu to return to the last bench, then make your way out of Sinner's Road from there. For our 5th craft metal, we will start back at halfway home once more, riding up the nearby lift. This time, however, we'll move into the top of the tower that is west of the lift. We'll then activate a series of airstreams and ride them up to the top west exit, which leads out above these towers. We'll then need to do some platforming in this open area to get to the upper west exit. A double jump at the end of the hall that follows will take us to a new region, Wisp Thicket. There is a bench to the east that we can smack down, and we'll then need to move west after resting at it. Just past a Wisp Summoner is a tall hut with 2 Wisp Lanterns. I recommend defeating the first one before climbing up to the top of this structure, and we can smack open a secret passage there at the top left corner, which leads up to our 5th craft metal. To obtain our next 2 tools, the Silkshot and Memory Crystal, we'll need to return to Mount Fay, starting at the Slab fast travel station. Also, one of these tools requires that we have the ruined tool key item as well as a craft metal to repair it with. I have 2 quick things to cover about the slab that I didn't in previous guides. First, if you killed the Wardenfly in Deep Docks that abducts you and brings you to the slab for the first time, you can still access the slab by moving far west and a bit up from the Grand Bellway station and Coral Chambers of the Citadel. Second, the map for the slab is found through a hidden passage just east of the first bench we get to rest at, the one that Grindel is initially standing near during our jailbreak. Okay, with that, we will head west of the slab Bellway station, returning to Mount Fae. I covered the full path to reach the top with just the claw line thoroughly in my guide on how to unlock the Fae Down cloak. This time, I'll be offering less commentary as I make my way back up using shortcuts and the double jump ability, both of which make the ascent much easier. Once we ascend up that final airstream to the peak, we can reach a hidden chamber by dropping off to the east and hugging the side of the mountain. There, we'll find a workbench where we can repair the ruined tool, assuming we have the required materials. Doing so will get us a railgun variant of the Silkshot Tool. We will then want to start heading back to the top of the mountain, but go through the passage to the west, partway up that final airstream. This will take us to a fun slope section down the mountainside, and we can drop down into a chamber and open a shortcut leading further down. We will eventually arrive at the first bench checkpoint that we would reach when going up the original path for Mount Fae. Moving out west, we can go ahead and grab the mask shard here if we haven't already, then move into the chamber with the bench. There is a breakable wall to the east of it, and in the chamber that follows, we can break through several ice formations to reach a node that drops the memory crystal tool when broken. If my count is correct, that should put us at 21 tools, even with opting out from some purchases. We will end by going to the beginning, to get the Snare Setter, Weavelight, and Druid's Eye tools. From Bone Bottom, we can move west and down into the Ruined Chapel. We will then go east in Moss Grotto, pick up a Mossberry, and play our needle in at the door to Weavenest Atla. Moving east, we can hit 2 buttons to turn the power back on, then interact with a nearby station to get a map of Weavenest Atla. We'll then move west and take the transporter down to the lower level, and there is a bench that we can rest at a short distance west from there. For our first tool, we will move back east into the previous room, then climb up the east wall and move west into a hidden area. Just before the water, we can double jump to reach another hidden area where the Snare Setter is found. Feel free to fully explore this path and then return to the bench. From there, we will move west into another hidden chamber. There is a mossberry along this path near the ceiling that we can grab on our way. However, I missed it and grabbed it on my way out. In any case, at the far west end of this chamber, we will need to fight not 1 but 2 Moss Mother bosses. After defeating both of them, the Weavelight tool will drop to the ground. Once again, if you have not already, be sure to grab that mossberry on your way out of here. We will then go to the Marrow Bellway station and move west into Mosshelm. In the very first green chamber, we can double jump up to the top east exit, grab our third mossberry from a hidden chamber nearby, then travel a very short distance to the Moss Druid. There, we can turn in the 3 mossberries to complete the berry picking wish, which will get us the Druid's Eye tool. That puts us at 24 out of 25 tools, with plenty of Craftmetal to use at the Architect, and we will get 1 more just in case. Starting from the Underworks Ventrica or Fast Travel Station, we will move east, then across a bridge and down. We will then move up and east and go up the first tube next to us to reach the bench near the Architect. For the last Craftmetal that we are going to cover here, we will move west from the bench and ride up the airstream to the exit. We will then need to drop all the way down to the bottom of this tall vertical chamber, moving east into a long horizontal platforming section. After successfully navigating this area, we will head into the chamber just beneath where the Clawline ability is unlocked. Watch out for the ambush at the end of this chamber, then hit the nearby node for 1 last Craftmetal. There are 2 more Craftmetal in the game, but they are a bit further out of the way, and I won't be covering them in this guide. In any case, we can return to our last bench, then go up and to the east to reach the Architect. We should be at 24 out of 25 tools at this point, with a few spare Craftmetal. Even without the Ruined tool, the Architect will have 3 tools available for us to purchase. You can spend all your Craftmetal here, but if I had to pick one of these options, it would probably be between the Cogwork Wheel or the Sawtooth Circlet. All of the tools here are cool though, and there is enough Craftmetal in the game to craft all tools that require Craftmetal. In any case, we should now be able to buy the Architect's key, then double jump to the upper level and move west to open the vault there. Once inside, we can interact and bind with the Golem to unlock the Crest of the Architect. This crest allows for 3 red or offensive tools to be equipped, with one of them replacing the Silk skill that is normally slotted into other crests. Memory lockets can be used to unlock up to 2 blue and 2 yellow tool sockets. The really great and unique thing about this crest is that we can hold the up input with the bind or heal input to refill our tools while out and about, assuming we have the shell shards available. Given how powerful tools can be, this can give us a huge edge against many bosses, allowing us to just pour resources into spamming endless cogflies, wheels, tacks, or just about any other tool. It also has a neat charge attack, assuming we've unlocked that ability. The only major downside is that it does not feel great for platforming, with the needle pogo being particularly difficult. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comments where I will do my best to help. If you want to see more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Friday and a great weekend. And as always, thanks for watching.